Welcome to Mobility Overhaul, and today we're going to be working on the bench press / press up and just generally improving the mechanics of your press, okay? So a lot of people, very quickly, to give you an idea of why, pretend I'm doing a press up, okay? I start pulling back, or lowering that weight or lowering myself towards the ground. A lot of people get a lot of tightness in the upper body, which then we get to about this point here, and as we continue, we start to round the shoulders, we start to let the elbows flare out, we put ourselves in a very compromised position. We're losing power, but also we're putting a lot of stress and strain on the shoulder joint, etc. And the elbows, of course. Anyway, point being, we're trying to get a nice range of movement improved, and it's going to take multiple mobility classes for a lot of people. But what I want to be able to do is keep my shoulder blades pulled together, chest proud, and be able to move that shoulder joint and elbow through a full range of movement without anything like this starting to happen. Okay, yes, I'm exaggerating it a wee bit, but for some people, believe it or not, I'm not. They really are lacking that range and they default into these horrible positions, which again, to show you on a press up, look at my elbows, look at my shoulders. As I start to lower down, this starts to happen, okay? I start to lean forward. I'm moving that shoulder out the joint, I'm bringing it out, I'm putting it in. I'm going to end up with shoulder impingement, which you don't want. Anyway, what are we going to do this morning? You're going to need your foam roller, you're going to need your massage ball, and ideally a kettlebell, but this will work with a dumbbell or even a weight plate, okay, that you can get a hold of. All we need is something heavy, and the emphasis is on heavy, okay? Now watch me here. If you're not sure, if you are familiar with the Turkish get-up, set up for a Turkish get-up, okay? Set up for a Turkish get-up, but watch me first. This is not a stretch, this is a mobility drill. The first thing we're going to do, okay, let me explain this. We spend a lot of time out in front. Think about it. You're driving, you're writing, you're sat at a desk. We spend a lot of time out in front. So what tends to happen is we struggle to get that shoulder joint right back, okay? We struggle, it's just jammed. So the purpose of this morning is we're trying to reset the joint, get it right back in there. So it won't feel like a stretch, it's a mobility drill. We're holding the weight overhead, which is going to help force it down, and we're going to just gently manipulate it as we go. So it's important that when you set up for this one, you can see me, okay? You can see exactly what I'm doing while you're doing it. From here, observe. I'm going to lie back, I'm going to get a grip of my kettlebell, and this is important, okay? Get a good grip of it, keep the elbow in nice and tight, and just roll it. If you need to use the other hand as well, just roll it. What I don't want to do is this, and try and lift it across, because you're going to hurt yourself, okay? Pretty obvious. Keep it nice and tight, get another grip with the hand, and we're bringing it up to here. Just think that you're setting up for a Turkish get-up, but I want you to bring both feet up, okay? Bring both feet up into this position. From here, I'm going to press it up overhead. You must get this right. We're not trying to do an exercise here. We're trying to push this towards the sky, so I want this arm fully extended. That means locked out. Elbow's not bent, elbow's locked out. I'm still crushing it to make sure that I've not got a cocked wrist and it's just hanging about there all lazy. Crush the hell out of it, punch it up towards the sky. Once you've got that arm fully extended, everyone, I want you to pull that shoulder blade together. And when you do that, you should feel the shoulder, the actual shoulder joint, go flush with the ground. Go that far, okay? And again, you'll realize that this has to be heavy. I'm trying to force that shoulder joint to the back, okay? Reset it exactly to the back of the socket where I'm lacking, okay? So from here, I want you to then try to glute bridge up a little bit so that we're putting more weight on. Put more weight onto the back of the shoulders, which you'll feel. So glute bridge up. I'm not talking for a hardcore glute bridge. Just bridge the hips up so that there's more weight going down into that shoulder. From here, I want you to try and really roll on a wee bit to that shoulder so that all the weight is on that shoulder joint, okay? You'll feel that. Remember what we're doing here. We're just trying to load the joint up, push it down, push it back into where it needs to be, reset the joint. From here, okay, it's only going to be 2 minutes each side. We're going to start rotating the full arm around nice and slowly. Now what I want you to imagine is you're not rotating the wrist, you're rotating the full arm, because I'm trying to just screw that shoulder blade back in, that shoulder back into the joint. So I'm taking my time. Now of course, if your kettlebell's pretty heavy like mine is, you're going to get a wee bit tired having it pressed out. But the point is, I've got a lot of force, it's really pushing down into the back of that shoulder joint. My shoulder joint's flush into the ground. And if you like, I'm kind of leaning towards the side that I'm using, okay, if that makes sense. It's slow, everybody. I don't want you to rush. We're rotating the full arm, okay? trying to keep that shoulder blade pulled together, pulled back and pulled flush. Okay, so you should feel like this kettlebell is just simply pushing that shoulder back. Now again, this is not a stretch, this is a mobility drill. It might feel weird, but it's got purpose. Good. And from there, only relax if you've been on it for 2 minutes. Okay, only relax if you've been on it for 2 minutes. So remember what I said. Good, everybody on live, that's giving a good cue. So remember what I said, okay? All I'm trying to do here is, if I was lying on the ground, is keep that shoulder blade pulled together, this shoulder joint flush with the ground, my arm is fully extended and locked out, and with that weight, it's pushing back, it's pushing that straight arm back, forcing the joint back in. Okay, you can even play around with it while you're sat up. Try and understand. I want you to understand what you're doing rather than just, oh, he's making me do that, and you're lying there going, what's the point in this? Okay, so sit up nice and tall, nice and proud. Chest pulled to, shoulder blades pulled together, chest proud, arm fully extended in front of you, because this is an important part of the bench press / press up. When I press out, I must lock those arms out while keeping my shoulder blades pulled together. And that's where a lot of people struggle. They go to lock the arms out, they start to round, okay? Open up that shoulder joint, open it up to the world of trouble. Keep the shoulder blades pulled together, pull out, and from here, push back. Imagine you've got that kettlebell. Feel how it's pulling that shoulder joint back. It's putting that stress into the back of the shoulder joint. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to achieve. That's why we're doing this. Let's change sides. Okay, so it's not all stretching and foam rolling. This is important. Okay, we're trying to get that joint back in to where it belongs. So like I say, we spend a lot of time out in front. From here, roll on. Glute bridge position, press it up over your head. Good solid grip. First thing I want you to think about is locking this arm out. Punch it towards the sky, elbow locked out, this arm solid, going nowhere. Second thing, now that I've got that established, is I'm going to pull my shoulder blades together. And when I do that, I should have this shoulder joint now. The back of this shoulder should now be flush on the ground. Go that far. Then from here, I want to bridge the hips up. And when I do that, you should feel the weight increase, the pressure increase on your shoulder to the ground, if that makes sense. So by lifting my hips up, I'm now shifting more weight and pushing more weight down. From here, I'm really trying to make sure, so I'm kind of leaning towards the shoulder ever so slightly to make sure all the weight is on it. I want all the weight pushing down on that shoulder joint. Keep the arm locked out and then just slowly start rotating the whole arm as far as you can without compromising that straight arm, without hurting yourself, okay? So it's not a big rotation. All I'm doing is, again, visualize, I'm screwing that bone into the joint, keeping it pulled together. And it's one of them, just like the hip capsule one that you might not be familiar with, but we've done. It's one of them, it feels a bit weird when you're doing it, but once you've done it, you should definitely feel like you've done something. You should feel the difference. But remember, shoulder blades pulled together. I'm trying to load up and push that joint back. Push the bone back into the joint, while keeping that arm fully extended and solid in a pressed, locked out position. Good. Fantastic. Good. And just like, again, when I'm talking to you about the hip capsule mobility drill that we do, it's all fair and well if your chest's tight, triceps are tight, but the back's tight. If the muscles within the joint and the joint's not able to move properly and sit properly, that's going to massively affect. Doesn't matter how mobile or flexible you are in the bigger muscle groups. If the joint's unable to operate effectively and properly, you're always going to have a compromised position. So straight away, when you come up, move around, how does that feel? Do you feel you've made a difference? Hopefully you do. Your shoulders just feel a little bit like they're sitting better, okay? Move your kettlebell away. That's the last we're going to do with that. Now, even though we're pressing out to the front, a lot of the time the tissue at the back end of you, your upper back, those trapezius muscles especially, they get pretty jammed up tight as well, okay? Now, while we spend a lot more time on that when we're doing the likes of the posterior chain and deadlift, etc., we're going to quickly do a complete T-spine. We call it the thoracic spine, which is basically your upper back. We're going to do a quick overhaul with the foam roller. It's simple, everybody. Now, we're only going to be doing 2 minutes, so it's up to you to make the most of it. When you're doing it, let me show you now. If you've got a hood, make sure that hood's tucked out the way, otherwise you're going to end up getting it jammed under the foam roller and you'll be going, eh. From here, I'm starting with it just roughly where I'd put the bar for a back squat, which is just at the base of the neck. I'm going to bridge up because I want as much weight on there as I can, and then simply, again, make sure you can see me while I'm doing this, while you're doing it too. I'm going to work this entire length. Now, what I'm showing you now is where you're going to go to, the bottom of the rib cage, okay? So we're not going to go into the lower back, we're going to the bottom of the rib cage. How do you know when you're there? You'll feel it. You'll feel when you start to come off the ribs and you start to go into that exposed part of spine. That's as far as we go. Now, we're not just doing the usual that a lot of people do, just roll backwards and forwards. Remember, we need to work against the grain of the muscle tissue. So I'm going to start rolling side to side. And this is where you might have to, if you find a knotted up area, just lean off to the side a little bit, okay? And we scrub side to side. All I want you to do is just work the entire length of your upper back, looking for areas of high pain, and when you find them, get stuck into them. Now the hands here are an important one, everyone. If you can see me now, okay, we can do some side to side with our arms here. We can overextend the spine, okay? We can really flex up with the spine, sorry. Trying to get more force into it as I'm showing you now. So I'm arching my back forwards to really try and open things up, okay? Or I can go the other way. I can overextend, but be careful, pay attention here. If you're going to overextend your spine, as in break it back, make sure you keep the core tight because we don't want to overextend the lower back, okay? Keep the lower back nice and tight, bit of tension on the core, but feel free to wrap that upper back around the curvature of the foam roller. But be careful, we do not overextend the lower back. Put your arms up over your head, keep them nice and straight, and same again, you're looking for areas of high pain, knotted up muscle tissue, okay? And by moving the arms into different directions, you may expose them and access them a bit easier. Your neck might get a little bit tired if your head's heavy, which it is, believe it or not, and that's not an insult, everybody's heads are heavy. And from here, I'm starting to shift off the camera now. But you get the point, everybody. You get the point. 2 minutes, overhaul. And by using the foam roller, we can attack a much bigger surface area. When we've done the deadlift, hip hinge overhaul, that's when we were using the ball. That's when we can get really into the nitty gritty. But here, using the foam roller, it's still a very effective tool, and it allows us just to work a bigger area, which means over the space of 2 to 3 minutes, we can really make a difference. So look for those areas of high pain and get stuck into them. Push down into the foam roller. Scrub side to side. Remember, we're not just rolling up and down. We need to work against the grain of the tissue, and we need to put enough force and pressure and work in to try and make a difference to it. When you're moving the arms around, everybody, try and do it when you're keeping those arms fully extended, as we would when we're in that pressed position. Okay, so don't have these lazy arms just kind of hanging about. Keep them keep them straight. Keep them nice and tight and move them around that full range of movement all the way out. Okay, do your snow angels, do a cross. But purpose is, when you find that area of high pain, moving your arm into a different direction can really open it up and access it. So we're working the thoracic spine, which, like I say, is pretty much, as far as you're concerned, that's your upper back. Good. If you're not sure where to go, in the depths of those shoulder blades is where a lot of people will find a lot of knotted up tissue. So again, this is not us trying to have a good time, make it feel nice. This is us trying to attack our weakness. Right, we're done there. So that's a good one to do as part of a warm-up, okay? If you're going to do a warm-up, get the foam roller out, quick 2 minutes. It can help just loosen off some of that tissue on the upper back. But again, a lot of us are pretty tight there as well. So it's a good one to do for helping get these shoulders reset. Triceps, okay? The big pressing muscles here, okay? We're using them overhead press, we're using them bench press. They're getting hammered. Now, here's another point. If you suffer from elbow pain, which a lot of us do, think about the elbows. Well, a lot of people don't. The elbows get put under a tremendous amount of stress and strain daily, especially if you're exercising, okay? They're under a lot of stress and strain. So a lot of people start to develop pain or discomfort in their elbows. Everything we do this morning is going to benefit that, okay? So what we're going to be attacking is the triceps. We're trying to get these flowing nice and well. That's going to make the elbow joint a little bit better, okay? But more importantly, If our triceps are all jammed up tight, they're not going to be working effectively. You're going to be unlocking a lot more power and a lot more strength stored in there that can't quite get applied. Right, we're ready. We're lying like I'm showing you now. As always, when we are in this type of position, watch after your lower back, okay? So you can see that I'm lying. I want you to make sure that you don't start really badly overextending your lower back here. So if you need to, you can sit up a little bit. Happy? Right, that's that one. So I'm just above my elbow joint, and all I'm going to do here is just start going side to side. Think back to the previous classes when we've done the likes of your quads. It's exactly what we're doing. We're starting just above the elbow joint, and all I'm going to do is go side to side as far as I can, the full width. When you find an area of high pain, which a lot of us will feel near the joint, push into that muscle tissue, okay? Push it, don't mean to shout. Push into that muscle tissue, crush it into the foam roller, okay, and then start scrubbing. And everybody, this, for a lot of people, and as you can see by my face, is pretty horrific. Now, rather than you shuffle around and put that lower back under a lot of stress, just like most of them, use your other hand to move the foam roller, okay? You can just roll it up a bit higher. But like I say, a lot of us will find that there's a lot of tied up, knotted up, painful tissue close to that elbow joint. So wherever you are, as soon as you find a place that feels nasty, push it into the foam roller, start your side to side scrubbing. And a good thing here, the smash and floss technique, which I want you to introduce once you feel you've got a decent bit of pressure on that foam roller, I want you to start simply bending and stretching the elbow, but that can be done slower, okay? So as you start to bend, if you get to a point where it feels even worse, stop at that angle and just smash it into the foam roller a little bit more. So remember, don't overcomplicate this. We've got muscle tissue. If we've got high pain, we're going to apply the usual technique of getting as much pressure on there, smashing up the muscle tissue. And as always, if you do suffer from pain in your shoulders, pain in your elbows, and you're finding a lot of high pain in the muscle tissue here, that's a good indicator that that may be a problem. Now, a lot of us, when the people that do actually keep on top of their mobility and flexibility, etc., we spend a lot of time on our legs, we spend a lot of time around the hips. We disregard the triceps, we disregard the arms a lot, okay? Sounds ridiculous, and it's going to sound ridiculous even when I say it, but your arms are your legs of the upper body, if you like, okay? They're getting hammered, they're getting abused daily, put under a lot of stress and strain, and once again, if you're exercising, even more so. So if we're not putting something back into them, and we just take, of course problems are going to develop. So keep working up your triceps. If you're not in the habit of doing your triceps, you've never really done them before, or even if you have, you may find that the whole area is just nasty. And if that's the case, you know the drill with this stuff. We're trying to smash that muscle tissue, restore that nice, relaxed state as I speak. This is horrendous. Good. Keep working through it. And remember, the more pain and discomfort that you can endure with this, the more you're going to get out. But you have to be keeping that muscle tissue relaxed, okay? So as you're grinding over it, it stays in a relaxed state. It doesn't work if it's all tensed up and you're just going for it. So keep it going, keep crushing it, keep smashing and flossing by bending that arm. But remember, we're always trying to work against the grain. Don't just keep rolling forwards and backwards here. So we're spending a good bit of time, we're still in the first arm, spending a good bit of time on it. And I want you to work through the entire tricep. And like I say, for a lot of people, you may well find that no matter where you press on the triceps, it's pretty damn sore. And you didn't even know about it until now. So all that tension, all that stress, knotted up tissue you're carrying about, a lot of the time we don't even realise we're carrying it. So how high up do you go? It's pretty obvious, everybody, when you're working with the muscle tissue that we're on just now. Once you start to get close to the armpit, you'll start to feel yourself coming off the tricep, and that's as far as we go. If you've managed to get that far, start working your way back down. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds on this side. It's an important one, this. Okay, the triceps, big pressing muscle tissue. And if you've never done it before, like I say, It's going to take more than 2 minutes. Really go for it now. Crush it into the foam roller. Grin and bear it as best you can. Not a large muscle group by any means, but like I say, for a lot of it, it's going to take a wee bit longer than 2 minutes. Right, rest up there. We're going to change sides, okay? A lot of people will find that awful. If you're one of them, don't worry, you're not alone. I feel it too. Right, so I'm changing sides. I'm just above the elbow joint. I'm just starting. Side to side, as best I can, okay? Obviously, when you start rolling one way, you'll start to struggle to continue to go, but you're doing the best you can. Side to side, side to side. When you start to find pain, try and zone in on it. Right, okay, that seems to be where it's coming from. That seems to be the worst part, right? So I've got it now. I'm going to start pushing it into the foam roller. Again, you can't see this, but I'm pushing it into the foam roller, applying more and more pressure, just blunt force. Trying to focus on my breathing, trying to stay relaxed, trying to keep that tissue relaxed. That's the most important thing. I can't say it enough. Once I feel I've got a reasonable bit of weight on there, as in, yep, right, I can handle it. It's not going to become pain-free, okay? What I'm saying is you can handle it. You get to a point where you've equalised, if you like. The pain and discomfort's quite great, but you've relaxed into it. From here, that's when we're going to start side to side scrubbing, as in just start grinding that foam roller into the muscle tissue slowly. If it's horrendous, it has to be slow. If you try and go fast, you're going to end up tensing up and trying to fight it. So we're just trying to maintain that pressure, which again, you can hear by my voice, it's not easy. And if you have got a decent amount of pressure on it, that's when we can start just smashing floss by bending and straightening that arm. But if you don't feel like you're overreaching, just move the foam roller with your hand to get in a better position, and be careful with those lower backs that you're not putting too much strain on it. So foam roller and your bone, that's the bread of the sandwich. The muscle tissue is the filling, and all you're doing is trying to grind, smash that muscle tissue up in between the foam roller and the bone, and that's why it's nasty, okay? But it has to be. The more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. I can't say it enough. It's very easy just to lie there and go, ooh, ooh, well, that feels nice, but if I put any more weight on, it doesn't feel nice. We're not trying to have a nice, chilled, relaxed time here. We're trying to make ourselves better in as short a space of time as possible. And as I always say, there shouldn't be pain here. There shouldn't be pain. There shouldn't be knotted up muscle tissue. But again, for a lot of us, the daily abuse of life and all we're throwing our bodies at, it's inevitable. Plus the fact a lot of us, including myself, we don't do enough mobility. We can never really do enough. But what you will find is these little niggles and pains, like for example, if you've never done your triceps before and these feel horrific, like you're really struggling to put a lot of weight on the foam roller because it's so unbearable, if you just start doing it little and often, okay, you'll soon find that you can load it up a lot more, okay? It's no longer as bad. You can really press that muscle tissue in to the foam roller. Just like anything else, it will get easier. And easier in this instance is you making massive improvements to your body, how it's performing, and just general well-being. But it's hard work. It's hard work to get people into this. I know it's hard. It's hard to motivate yourself to do a mobility class. You're short on time. I'd rather do a workout. And people tend to start finding mobility when they've injured themselves, or they're injured and they're constantly injured and re-injuring the same thing over and over again. But again, some people don't. Some people just go through life with these niggles and pains that for a lot of the time can be solved with a little bit of work. So working on your bench press, working on your press up, the main muscle groups involved in that exercise is your chest, the shoulders, and the triceps. Those are the main muscle groups. We've also got the ones that are assisting, like the forearms, the core, the muscles in your back, trying to stabilize those shoulders. But ultimately, all this boils down to is the same things you'll always hear me harp on about. You keeping the shoulder blades pulled together. That is us in an optimal pressing position. regardless whether it's overhead or out to the front. We should be able to fully extend that arm. Think back to that first exercise, that's why I also got us to do it. You should be able to fully extend that arm while keeping the shoulder pulled back and in the joint, basically. Keeping the bone in the joint without rounding it around, without your shoulder blades becoming untucked. But again, a lot of us struggle with that, and if you start to move out of that position while you're pressing, that's when you're going to start putting your body in a compromised position, especially the shoulder joint. It's going to start rounding, shoulder blades start pulling apart, and you start putting tremendous amount of stress and strain onto the shoulder joint itself, as in this starts to happen. Right, we've smashed out the triceps. Now everybody, grab your ball, we're going to go and smash out the forearms. So forearms, even when you're doing your press ups, but more so when you're doing your bench press, when we're gripping anything, like that kettlebell, for example, in our kettlebell classes, where we're crushing it into that pressing position, I'm always telling you to crush it to make sure this isn't happening. These are the muscles. It's the forearm that's causing that. It's not causing it, it's the forearm supporting that. So as you crush, it's those muscles in the forearm that we're getting the strength from. Again, very limited range of movement. A lot of us don't really move our forearms through a full range of movement. We spend a lot of time, if you're at a keyboard typing, these forearms are working through a very shortened range of movement. Lose a lot of mobility in them. The muscle becomes so tacked down that we end up getting, again, a lot of wrist pain, a lot of elbow pain, and again, that can feed into shoulder pain as well. So it's a very important one. While it's not a main mover in the bench press or any pressing for that matter, it's a very important one that we throw in this morning because it could be causing problems with your elbow and shoulder. So I want you to grab a chair, a coffee table, a platform basically. If you don't have one, you can use the floor, but it means you're going to have to lie in a strange position. I'm using a platform as in my bench because it's going to let me just get on top of it, and plus it's easier for me to show you. You can do it on the floor, but it means you're going to be lying in a strange position. So if you've got a hard chair, a coffee table, all the likes, something like that, use that. But you can absolutely use the floor. It'll just mean you're lying completely flat. So all I'm going to do here is just simply roll my sleeve up so you can see. I'm just simply going to be doing the underside of my forearm, okay? So I'm going to start, put the ball, obviously it needs to be a hard surface, otherwise it's just not going to work. What I want you to do is just find that elbow, okay? When you find the joint, all I'm going to do is just start working above it. So I'm going the opposite way, just like the triceps, but I'm keeping the top of my forearm facing the sky. And I'm just going to smash the tissue around there. What I'm going to do is come close and show you exactly where we are. Right, so we're here, right? I've got the ball on here, and I'm going to smash it in there. You'll feel the bone, that's exactly where I want to be. And all I'm going to do is smash the muscle tissue on the underside of my forearm, okay? There's no right or wrong. Remember, you're looking for areas of high pain, but a lot of us in here, right in here, that's where you're going to feel the pain and discomfort. So get stuck in there and go for it, everybody. And again, the more pain and discomfort you can handle with this, the better. So I'm going to push down, and I'm just going to start my little circles, my little scrubbing circles. When I find an area of high pain, which pretty much I find as soon as I get in there, just force. Remember, there's nothing wrong with finding that area of high pain and just pushing down as hard as you can and pinning it there for a little while. Push down, push down, push down. When you're getting a good amount of pressure on there, start your scrubbing. We don't want to be screwing the face up for 2 minutes straight. Try and find that relaxed state. Don't give into that and be all stressed out for 2 minutes. But again, a very nasty one, this one. Get stuck into it. So all I've done is I've started at that joint, at the elbow joint. I'm doing my little circles, and I'm slowly working my way towards my wrist, okay? But it's not a quick process because there's a lot of pain and discomfort here. Now, when you find that pain and discomfort, a way we can kind of smash and floss here, move the arm around, pump the fist, move around, see if that helps. So when you're pinning that area of high pain, see if you're moving the wrist up and down, side to side, or trying to restore that range of movement within the joint as well. Don't forget that. So there's no right or wrong, just smash that muscle tissue. It's pure and simple. Now we need a lot of force. We really need a lot of force on this. A lot of people will just be kind of giving it 50 going, oh, it feels quite nice, oh, this is all right. No, you need to get in. If they're knotted up that tight, if things are that restricted in that muscle tissue, you need to go for it, okay? Remember, we're not trying to have a chill day here. We're trying to improve, and improvement, unfortunately, means a good bit of pain and discomfort when it comes to this. So we're working our way all the way up until you hit the wrist, okay? Until you're off the muscle tissue. Now we're going to spend a good bit of time, so if you feel you've worked the full entire range, go back on yourself, do it again. But for most people, forearms, a lot of people are surprised, because again, we don't even think about the forearms. A lot of people, oh, like what? A lot of people are surprised by just how painful and uncomfortable their forearms are when we do this sort of stuff. And again, if you're finding a lot of pain and discomfort, use those things as alarm bells. Am I getting wrist pain? Am I getting elbow pain? If my forearms are jammed up that tight, probably a root cause of it. Okay, may not be the cause, but it could be a hell of a contributor. So keep those little circles going. Scrub, 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 scrub. And one thing you'll realise is, on first appearances, you start doing your little circles. It doesn't feel too bad. As you start circle, 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 it gets in deeper, deeper, deeper. Oh my word, where did that come from? Sort of thing going on. Yeah? Oh yeah, look at those faces on live. So a nasty one, I'm sure you'll agree. We're working right on the underside of the forearm. Now everyone, we're staying on the same arm. Now we're going to go up on top. So this is one that the muscle tissue is not quite as dense up here. Okay, so we're a lot closer to the bone, so therefore it will probably feel pretty nasty. Okay, but same again. Don't overcomplicate it. Where exactly is he going? If I lie my arm flat like I'm showing you now, palm down, this entire area up here. How wide do you go? As wide as you can. Okay, you're going to hit the bone. Wide as you can. We're working this entire range here. How do we do it? We could do it like that, okay? You could do it sat at the sofa watching the telly, getting a bit of that in. That's going to benefit you, but it's not going to benefit you as much as this. Getting up on top of it, okay? And remember, we need force. We need that force to make a difference. So I'm starting at my wrist. Not a lot of muscle tissue there, but there's still some. You're going to feel it. Start pushing down with my little circles. So my palm's facing upwards. I'm on the top. Ah, yes. Good. Now remember, don't rush it. What you can see me doing, see these little circles that I'm doing? The more I'm doing them, the more pressure I start to apply, I just seem to unlock a lot more pain and discomfort as I get in deeper. So don't just go, oh, that feels all right, that feels all right. No painful spots. Spend a bit of time before you move on. And remember, as you start getting further up the forearm, we've got more muscle tissue to contend with, so you're going to have to play around with the angle that you're working on. Now the rubber ball is going to start pulling on your skin, start pulling on the hairs, but that's fine, okay? That's fine. That's the bit you're just going to have to suck up. That's why we're using the rubber ball. We need to be grabbing that skin as well. We need to be pulling that skin that might be tacked down onto that muscle tissue that we don't want it to be. Remember, that muscle tissue, that skin should be moving freely on top of it, okay? Nice and supple, if you like. Shouldn't be tacked down to the muscle tissue. So while this ball, like it's rubber, it's going to be gripping that skin. It's not going to feel too nice, but again, it's only going to benefit us. So play around with it. And once again, when you start to get closer to the joint, that's when you'll probably find the real pain and discomfort. And I'm pushing that down. I'm not just using the force, I'm pushing down, getting even more into that muscle tissue. Nasty stuff, everybody, nasty stuff, but these forearms have got such an important job. You're gripping a bar, you're gripping a kettlebell, a dumbbell. I'm telling you to crush it every time that we do. It's these muscles that are responsible for that crushing. It's these muscles that are responsible for you moving your wrist around, crushing and opening and shutting your hand. So if they're not working well, you're going to struggle to do that. The reason I tell you to crush the hell out of something is to make sure that we're locking the wrist out. We've not got that wrist cocked back with like 16 kilos pulling on it or more. But also, what we lose is a lot of power. If you can't hold something properly, you can't crush it properly, you're going to leak out a lot of power that could translate to you lifting a lot more weight or getting more reps in, making you more economical. So there's multiple reasons why we do this. Right, relax there, okay? As always with this, if things are feeling that bad, you can come back to it, you can do it in your own time, and I encourage you that you do that. Stuff like this, you can easily do this while you're sat at a desk. You really can. You can do it while you're chilling out. That's why I always tell you, keep the ball somewhere where you can see it and it reminds you to do it. Don't put it away in a cupboard. So I'm changing back onto the underside of the forearm now. I'm just going to start grinding that muscle tissue, okay? Right in at that elbow joint where it's most dense. Go. And don't rush, because I guarantee most of you are going to find quite a high level of pain and discomfort close to that elbow joint. So just make sure you don't rush away from it if you're not. Start little scrubs, little circles, focus on your breathing, increase the pressure. Trying to make an improvement on that area of high pain before you move on to the next. Work the entire width of the muscle tissue as best you can. Excuse me. So far this morning, just to summarise as we go, we've talked about the shoulder joint, the way it should be sitting. We've tried to reset that shoulder joint, make you aware of how it should be sitting with the kettlebell. So the purpose of that movement is to help try and force it back into the joint, but also to let you feel how it should be sitting, especially after it when you come out of it. If you've done it properly, you'll feel that your shoulders are sitting better. But over time, okay, like I've said, if you go back now after your mobility class and start sitting like a slob, you know, slumped over, shoulders rounded, start walking about, dragging your knuckles, then you're just going to default and undo all the work you've done. You need to be conscious of your posture. Your body's going to adapt to what you do with it most of the time. So if you're sitting about with bad posture, standing around with bad posture, that's exactly what it's going to default to, not your hour's worth of mobility. So that was the first thing we've done. Secondly, we smashed the tissue in the upper back, the thoracic spine. We got a lot of restricted muscle tissue in the upper back that can limit our ability to keep the shoulders stable while we're pressing, whether that's overhead or bench press or press up. Then we smashed out the triceps. Pretty obvious one. Big pressing muscle group. So it's pretty obvious that that was going to be in there today. And by smashing it, we're helping just unlock more power, get it working better. And also, if there's any tacked down muscle tissue, just help improve our general mechanics. And then we're on to the forearms, which we're doing now. Forearms, very important, especially when you're pressing, especially when you're gripping a hold of something. But even when you're not, if you're doing a press up, obviously, your hands on the ground, we're getting much more stability in the forearm, therefore the arm, and therefore keeping the shoulder joint in a better position throughout the press. But also by overhauling this muscle tissue, we're helping overhaul the elbow joint, the wrist joints, and then inevitably again leading to the shoulder joint. So remember that, okay? We're working this tissue to benefit the joints as well as the actual muscle tissue themselves. And that's not us done, okay? Because obviously the biggest muscle group behind your bench press and press up movement is of course the chest, the pecs, the pectoralis major and minor, and going into those shoulder joint, okay? So that's what we're going to be working on next. And again, you'll feel it, there'll be a lot of tightness in there also, so that'll be us coming round to the front of the body and dealing with any tightness there. Right, I'm done, but now I'm going to do the top, okay? So we're spending quality time as always, and that's the purpose of these classes. So you get quality time and also give you an idea of where you need to work on. Got the ball sliding all over the shop. And then from this, you can start adding this in randomly throughout your day. Now, of course, as a beginner, you're probably going to find that there's a lot you need to work on, and that's fine. You don't need to do it all at once. Work on the main problem areas until you see and feel an improvement. And you're going to, especially if you're lifting weights, for example, you really are, you're going to feel the difference when you're doing mobility alongside it. You're still going to feel it, of course, if you're doing the likes of your kettlebells and your body weight circuits, of course you are. You're just going to start to feel yourself moving better, holding yourself better. It's like fitness. You might not notice it at first. You'll just be running along going, geez, I was struggling like hell a couple of weeks ago. Now look at me. Same with mobility. You can just be going, God, look how deep I'm getting in my squat. Didn't even realise. Or, you know, Now I'm starting to run, and that burning in my neck or shoulder or whatever is no longer there. Or when I'm walking or I'm standing about for long periods of time, my lower back doesn't start to feel like it's spasming. We all carry all these little problems with us, and a lot of the time it's mobility and flexibility related. So many people don't look at this as being a solution. A lot of people look for, where's the painkillers? Let's get them. Or, you know, things to mask the problem. Oh, my chair's terrible. I've always got a sore back, so I'm going to buy, you know, I've said this before, 400 quid ergonomic chair that's great for your spine, or a stand-up desk that costs about 12 grand, rather than fixing the problem at heart. Now, obviously, I'm talking general problems with mobility and flexibility. Obviously, injuries, etc., are much greater problems. That's not what I'm referring to. But a lot of us walk around with a lot of niggles and pains that can quite easily be cured, okay? And you can see it. You can see it in a lot of people when they're moving, especially when they're exercising, okay? You can see people with horrific mobility moving. You can see the stress that they're putting on their joints. I do my best to try and tell them, but, you know, some people just don't listen, do they? Right, we're done on the arms. Now we're going to move on to the chest, okay? Chest and a bit of the shoulders. So get your bench, your coffee table out the way, and let's get set up for that. Right, now for the main one, in my opinion. Now for the main one, especially when it comes to working on your press up or bench press. Look at me now, I'm in that position again. Okay, I'm bench pressing or I'm press upping with my upper body. Shoulder blades are pulled together, okay, just like when we had that kettlebell. Arms locked out, okay, so this is me at the top of my press up, or I've unracked that bar, I'm about to do my bench press. From here, my shoulder blades are pulled together, my arms locked out. As I start to pull down, those elbows at 45 degrees to the body, a lot of us start to experience a lot of tightness in here, okay? The anterior compartment, we worked on it when we've done the overhead mobility. We're doing it again, that's how important it is, and that's how common a problem it is. We're also going to be throwing a bit of the pecs in as well, the chest. We start to experience a bit of tightness there. We can't pull back any further, so this is when we start to lose that shoulder blades being pulled together thing, and we start to continue down, and we start rounding the shoulders. So you can see my shoulders are starting to round, my elbows are starting to flare out, and that's where we've lost it, everybody. It's important because you don't feel that happening for a lot of people, especially when you're doing, I'm pointing over here, especially when you're doing bench press and you're really load bearing that. You don't feel that happening, but it does happen. You'll start to feel the shoulder blades round. You're starting to put that shoulder in a very compromised position, and over time you're going to hurt yourself. Same with press ups. Same with press ups. I'm going down, 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 shoulder blades are pulled together. I experience that tightness, that lack of mobility and flexibility. So as I start to go down, my shoulders start to round and my elbows flare out, and that is where you really are setting yourself up for disaster, which is why I keep saying to people who press up like this, okay, yep, it feels fine, it feels easy just now, but over time you're going to hurt your shoulder. And you do not want a shoulder injury. You do not want one, because once you get one, it's a nightmare to get rid of it, and it usually involves you not training anymore, just walking and running about, like trying to keep your arms still. Anyway, what are we doing? Anterior compartment. So if you've been doing these in order, you'll remember that we got stuck in with a foam roller, right in, right in deep, in between the shoulder joint and chest. That deep area, right here, get the fingers, push them in there, not on the shoulder, right in at the shoulder joint. You'll feel that your fingers can just disappear in that cavity. That is exactly where I'm going to be putting this first and foremost. We're going to spend a little bit of time on there. We've done it before, so you should know what we're talking about here, but if you don't, I'll talk to you like I haven't. And then we're going to get the ball, and we're going to start working the actual shoulder, actual chest muscles themselves, okay? So first and foremost, get the ball, jam it in. From here, if you can see me right now, which hopefully you can, I'm just simply going to try and get myself up on top of it a bit more. So I want to feel like I'm really getting as much weight on here as I can. I'm not just lying on the foam roller here, chilling out. I'm getting up, I'm pushing down into it, and I'm going to start my scrubbing, side to side. Move the foam roller angle if you need to. We're trying to cover that entire area, and for a lot of people, that's going to feel nasty. That's going to feel nasty. Once you feel you've loaded it up, scrub it side to side, up and down. Just smash all that tissue. But you need to be getting the force into it here, everybody. Push down, get the pressure on that foam roller. As always, The arm, keep it straight and start moving it around. And that's what you're really going to help break that tissue up and mobilize the joint while we're doing so. So again, hopefully you can see me, but I'm keeping the arm straight. I can bring it up behind my lower back, smash it there, okay? And I'm just trying to simply mobilize the joint while I smash the tissue and expose any areas of high pain along the way. And when I do, stop, smash them. So we're going to spend 2 minutes on each side working on this anterior compartment. Don't start rolling towards the shoulder itself. Don't start rolling down onto the chest itself. We're working on that one spot, that void in between the chest and shoulder, where we've got all that muscle tissue that gets jammed up tight and restricts your ability to pull those shoulder blades back, and also keep your shoulder blades in, pulled together while you're lowering that bench press weight down, or you're doing a press up and you're lowering yourself towards the ground on the final third of the movement, if you like, as you lower it down, where a lot of people lack. So move the arm around. There's no right or wrong. If you move it around and it feels like hell, that's a good angle to work on. So 2 minutes each side. We don't have time to fart about. We're not trying to make it feel nice. I'm trying to get in there like my life depended on it, and I've got 2 minutes to get as much work done effectively on that area as I can. Good. And if you haven't done so already, move that arm around. You need to be doing that. We need to be getting this arm, keeping it nice and straight, remember. Keeping it nice and straight. Putting it back behind your lower back as if you're restraining yourself up, down, while I'm pushing that foam roller down hard. Okay, I'm really going for it. It's not nice. Good. Relax there. Change sides. Saying it again, such an important area, such a common area to be tight in. That's why we're doing it in this class. That's why we've done it in overhead class. That's why I urge you to do it as often as you can. Okay, if you struggle to get this arm behind you like I'm showing you now, that is the area which I'm guaranteeing that is jammed up tight. Okay, now we're going for it. We're on the other side. Now it's not just a lack of mobility, poor posture that causes this to seize up, and that goes for any muscle group. This is also news to you maybe. If you're exercising regular, okay, you're going to be getting the muscle tissue is going to be getting tied up tight as well. So if you're doing a lot of press-ups, a lot of bench press, we're going to find a lot of tightness in these muscles unless we keep on top of them regular. So it's not just sitting about with bad form, bad posture, not exercising that causes a lot of problems. It's exercising too. But it's exercising and not putting goodness back, not putting something back into the body that causes it. When people just take, if you're just doing press up, press ups, bench press, and you're not taking time to keep these muscles nice and flexible, nice and supple, you're going to seize up. And you know that already, because when you exercise and you push your body hard, you're sore, you're stiff until they recover. But if you're not keeping on top of your flexibility, range of movement, mobility, you'll recover, but you'll recover with less range of movement. So basically, whether you're out there smashing the exercise day in, day out, or whether you're sat in your rear end doing hee-haw, mobility is just as important. And if you're pushing your body hard, even more important, which I'm sure you know by now if you've been doing this for a while, or if you're fairly new to it, keep with it, get it done. It might be new to you. You might still be wondering, oh, what's the point in this? I'd rather just go and crack a session. You work on this, you start to feel the improvements in your own training, your own range of movement, but also the fact that, God, I used to always get a niggle here, or I used to always end up hurting myself here, or you've maybe just not been injured the same for quite a long period of time. Pretty much guarantee that's your mobility work that's paying off. Good. Right, go for it. Last few seconds. Push down. Snow angel that arm. Crush. Scrub. Side to side. Up and down. Good. And relax out of that one when you're ready. And of course, Spend a bit longer on it if you're watching this recorded, which most of you probably will be. Right. So again, if you struggle with this, if you struggle on those chest swings that we do during the live classes, etc., part of the warm-up, if you struggle, you always feel a lot of tightness, that's where you're getting it, okay? And that can be from a lot of pressing, the muscles start to get tight, 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 or it's from bad posture. Sitting with rounded shoulders starts to shorten the muscle tissue, starts to relax in that state. So when you try to put those shoulder blades back, okay, it's like stretching out a catapult that just boom, as soon as you relax, defaults forward. So that's a big contributor as to why you cannot keep your shoulder blades pulled together while you're doing your pressing, okay? And of course, when you're doing overhead press as well. Right, what we're going to do now is, well, you're going to have to be sensible here. We're going to be working on the actual pectoralis major and pectoralis minor muscles, which is just your chest, okay? Working on the chest muscles. So we're going to venture inwards, okay? Simple. We're just going to be smashing the muscle tissue, especially right high up, right up here, okay? It's the chest muscles. We're working on them, okay? I don't really need to give you much more guidance other than that. I'm going to lie on the ball at a weird angle, just pretty much where we've just done, and start working your way inwards. Move the ball with your hand, otherwise you're going to end up in a stupid position. But all I'm doing is just smashing that tissue. I'm seeing some confused looks on live. Right, we're going for here. It's your chest, the muscles. From where we've started, I want you to run along here to the center of the rib cage and down here. So we're working the entire chest. Whack yourself in the chest. That's the area you're working on. Okay, right. I'm lying on here. Of course, be sensible. Stay more on the upper chest. So what I'll be doing here is I'm starting where we left off on the previous one there with the foam roller. As I start to get more towards the center of my chest, I would recommend that you go a bit higher up. Start to work near the collarbone. Be sensible, okay? It's muscle tissue. Look for knotted areas. And once again, everyone, try moving those arms around. Oh, and you'll probably feel what I'm talking about here. But remember, there's nothing wrong with just finding that painful spot, pushing down hard into it. We're spending the vast majority of time close to the shoulder joint here, okay? But just be sensible. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep higher up on the chest, keep towards the chest joint itself. Whatever muscle tissue you can access, that's what we're going for. And you'll feel the rib cage, okay? You should feel the rib cage. As you start pushing down into that, you'll feel the ball starting to boom, 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 hit on the ribs. In any areas of knotted up muscle tissue, just grind and smash them. I'm not going to be spending too long, but most of us will feel it's pretty close to the shoulder joint that we're getting them. And when you find that area of high pain, try your best with the snow angel arm, but remember, the ball's not as high as a foam roller, so you'll struggle to do a full snow angel, okay, especially when you start to get higher up. So just use what you can, move the arm around, grind up that muscle tissue. And this is pretty nasty probably for a lot of people also. So this is, when you're doing your bench press, your press ups, chest muscles are the main driver behind it. The front of your shoulders and the triceps with what we'd be calling assisting muscle groups, okay? They're helping out the chest muscles. And I'm keeping it simple, okay? No point starting to be fancy, naming every single muscle group, because that means nothing. It means nothing to you, it means nothing to me. It's the chest, it's the shoulders, it's the triceps. That's what we're really focusing on this morning. That's what we're spending a lot of time on. Right, we're going to change sides. Okay, so we don't even need to move, but you are more, oh, here's a word, I don't even know where it came from. A bit more biased towards the side the ball's on, okay? So we're leaning towards that side a bit more to try and get more weight on it. Again, where do we start? Start where we started with that anterior compartment smash that we've done with the foam roller just there, and just start working your way closer in. Looking for areas of high pain, and of course the type of high pain that you would expect. Isolated pain, where the ball's pushing into, and it just feels like muscle tissue, knotted up muscle tissue. Work your way around, get to know the area, get to know where it needs work and where it doesn't. So once again, with these intensive mobility overhaul sessions that we're thrown into just now, there's a lot more foam rolling, a lot more mobility drills rather than stretching, and the reason for that is this is the stuff most people don't know about. This is the stuff people need a bit more education on, and to be fair, it's what most people need more of rather than stretching. But when you pick up the regular mobility overhaul live classes, we do a lot more stretching regular anyway. And stretching's a bit easier, a bit simpler. Most of us know some basic stretches. Most of us, this is new to us, okay? So that's why on these initial intensive mobility overhaul sessions, we spend a lot more time doing this sort of stuff rather than just static stretches. We do a little bit, but rest assured the static stretches we'll be doing regular on the live classes. Right, okay, once again, if things are feeling that bad, either come back to it or hit the pause button, but we're done on there. Right, we're going to finish off with one stretch, and it's the stretch that I recommend you do, because you can do it anywhere, and you're going to feel a big difference with it. All I'm going to do is put my back of my palm on my lower back, and I'm going to start moving it as high up as I can, trying to keep it up the center of my back. Get it up as high as I can without, this is why it's important you watch before you get ahead of yourself, without starting to put yourself into these kind of positions to try and get it higher. Okay, so don't try and scratch. You're trying to scratch yourself from the back of the head, basically, okay, with the back of your palm. Take it up as high as you can, and that might involve a little bit of wriggling to get it up there. Once you feel it's up as high as you can, then I want you to, if things are that tight, you can see my shoulders rounded, you'll feel like you're rounded. So what I want you to do now is stand up tall and proud, okay? And what we're trying to do is, while that hand's anchored up my back, I'm going to try and push that elbow back. Okay, push that elbow back, force my chest up nice and tall, nice and proud. Where do I feel it? Predominantly in here, but you might feel it up here, okay? If it's nasty, if it's that bad, everybody, then you need to do it more often. One thing I will say is, if it's that bad, just be careful, okay? If it's that jammed up tight, maybe don't put your hand up so high, but this is uncomfortable, okay? This is uncomfortable. Like I say, I've got my hand as high up my back as I can, up the center of my back as I can. This elbow, all I'm trying to do is keep my chest proud. Imagine I'm trying to get my shoulder blades together, and I'm trying to pull this elbow back. By pulling that elbow back further, I'm going to increase the stretch. But ultimately, remember, we're trying to keep our shoulder blades pulled together. We're trying to fix that tightness here. And this is where, if there is tightness, you're going to feel it, okay? And you're going to feel the effects of it. Because what's happening? Starting to round forward, aren't you? Starting to put a lot of stress and strain on that joint that we shouldn't be having. 2 minutes each side, okay? Again, I'm talking to you, it looks quite casual, but I'm trying to take this further and further and further. So my hand's fixed in position, I'm trying to pull that elbow back higher and further and further and further. I'm trying to pull that elbow back further and further. An important stretch, one that you can do this sat down. Okay, if you're traveling a lot, you can do it sat down. One way to really enhance it, again, is if you start leaning forwards, you'll find that you start really putting a lot more stress and strain on it, okay? But be careful, we have to be careful with this stretch. Ease out of it slowly. Yep, feels nasty, of course it does, we've just restricted it. Take your time, move it around, let the blood flow back into the joint, a few chest swings here and there. And once again, that is a big factor. The tightness in here that you're experiencing is a big factor in why you can't pull your shoulder blades together naturally, why you're always defaulting into this position. Change arms. Change arms, it's simple as a rip. My microphone out my pocket. So once again, higher and higher and higher, trying to get the hand up the center of your back, okay? That's the first protocol. Get it as high as you can without starting to put yourself into a weird position. Then from here, chest up, nice and proud, shoulder blades, try and pull them together, and then this elbow, just try and pull it back. Just try and pull that elbow back. Main target area is here. That's where you're probably going to feel it. Probably, but not always. Or possibly, you feel it on one side a hell of a lot more than the other side. Okay, that's again just going back to imbalance, bad posture, sitting, slouching like this, or sitting driving with one hand on the steering wheel and slouching, thinking you look cool, you don't. Okay. Anytime I drive by people like that, I just think, oh man, you're wreaking havoc on your body, right? in an effort to look cool, which I just don't understand. Anyway, sit up nice and tall, nice and proud, shoulder blades pulled together, relaxed, light grip of the steering wheel. Don't get road rage, because that's just going to wreak havoc on your mobility as well. Good. Right, so we're going for it. We're proactively trying to take this further. We're pulling this elbow back. Again, that's something you can't see that I'm doing. But the point is, I'm not just putting my arm up my back and just kind of farting about, even though I am. Right, ease out there. As always, very quickly, there's a lot more we can do, okay, in terms of flexibility, but we do them regular anyway. Lying down, rolling onto the arm, keeping the chest proud, push, 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 push. Okay, keep the chest proud, keep that shoulder in the joint. That's another way to target that anterior compartment, but also getting the biceps and a bit more of the chest in. I encourage you to try that, okay? And ultimately, once again, one of the best stretching movements you can do is a dead hang, which I'm just about to run back and show. In fact, I've got one here, okay? Just getting, I know not everybody's got a bar or a means of doing this, but if you're out and about, any opportunity you can get, just grab a hold of something, and a dead hang is just literally you hanging, okay? Now, a lot of people don't have the grip strength to hang their full body weight off, and that's fine. As long as you can get your feet on the floor, all you can do is just take a bit of the weight off your feet until you find a happy medium where you could hang there for a minute or two. And it's from here, you're trying to just let the shoulders relax. Imagine that bar is pulling your shoulders out of the joint, dislocating it, and you'll feel the stretch here, the stretch here, and the stretch here. Okay, so we're hitting everything with one simple movement, but I appreciate not everybody can do that. But when and if you get back to the gyms, because again, this is recorded during lockdown, hence the throw, do that as part of your warm-up. Do it as often as you can. Dead hangs are fantastic to improve your upper body mobility, especially when it comes to our pressing mechanics. Thank you very much. Extract the things you need to work on from that and put it together. 2 minutes each side, little and often. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you the next time.